Melissa walked through the front door like she'd just won the damn lottery. Big smile, fresh tan, new clothes. She set her suitcase down and gave me a kiss on the cheek, longer than usual. I stood there, watching her float around the living room like she was 20 again. She'd just gotten back from that national real estate seminar in Phoenix. 3 days of lectures and networking, supposedly. But now she was humming while putting her clothes in the laundry. Real silk blouses, tight dresses I'd never seen before, not a wrinkle on any of them. Her skin was glowing, hairstyled like she'd just left a salon. Her eyes, too bright. I should have been happy for her. But something about it twisted in my gut. My name is Daniel Ashford. I'm 48 years old. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I own a chain of auto parts stores across 4 states. Built it from scratch over the last 20 years. Hard work, long hours, nothing handed to me. Melissa and I, married 18 years. Our life ran like clockwork. Her PDA meetings and neighborhood boards, my stores and logistics. Not exactly fireworks, but stable, predictable. That weekend, though, she was different. Too touchy, too affectionate. She kept brushing her hand on my arm, calling me babe, asking about my day like she actually cared. Even when we had sex, it felt staged, like she was performing, not connecting. I told myself maybe the seminar lit a spark in her. Maybe it inspired her to get back in the game, re-engage with me, with us. But it wasn't inspiration in her eyes. It was satisfaction. Quiet, settled, like a hunger had finally been fed. Quick note, before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from? I noticed the perfume first. Rich, heavy, expensive. The kind you smell in hotel lobbies or fancy restaurants, not at school fundraisers. Then came the handbags. Louis Vuitton, Chanel. Melissa never cared about that stuff before. I asked where they came from. Oh, I found them on sale in Scottsdale, she said, waving it off. I let it go. Then it was the makeup. Flawless, airbrushed. And new bras that didn't look like they were made for function. Investing in myself, she said. You always say I deserve to feel good, right? Yeah, I said that once. Didn't think she'd take it as a license to reinvent herself overnight. That Sunday night, she curled up next to me on the couch like nothing had changed. Her head on my chest, her fingers tracing circles on my arm. My stomach was tight. I wanted to ask her, straight up, what the hell was going on. But I didn't. Instead, I let her drift off to sleep while I stared at the ceiling. And in that silence, something started to burn. The ceiling fan on Dad's back patio spun slow and lazy while he cracked open a Bud Light and handed me one. Sun was dipping behind the trees. Heat still hung in the air like a wet towel. He gave me a look, one of those long, steady ones, and said, Danny, you gonna tell me what's eating you, or should I guess? I didn't answer right away. Took a sip, stared at the peeling edge of the deck railing. I hadn't meant to show anything, but I guess I was quieter than usual. He leaned back in his chair. Melissa's been different. That caught me off guard. What's that supposed to mean? I said, more defensive than I meant. He shrugged. You know damn well what I mean. Don't act like you haven't noticed. Woman's got a new look, new perfume, runs around like she's 25 again. He took a drink. Your mom did the same thing right before she almost left me. I looked at him sideways. Mom never left you. He tapped his temple. Because I woke up before she did. I shook my head. Come on, Dad. Times are different now. Women are supposed to have their own lives. Melissa's just involved. She likes to stay busy. He gave me a dry laugh. Son, when a woman starts reinventing herself for the world, she's not doing it for you. I clenched my jaw. You don't know that. I know what it looks like. 50 years married. I've seen the damn pattern. You can lie to yourself all you want, but don't say nobody warned you. I didn't say anything after that. We sat in silence, both watching the cicadas buzz out from the trees like they had better places to be. I hated how sure he sounded. Back home, I tried to shake it. Melissa was still doing the mom stuff, packing lunches, showing up for school concerts, texting in the neighborhood group chat. She wasn't out at clubs or skipping bedtime with the kids. She just had a packed calendar. Always volunteering. Always planning. Some fundraiser here, a weekend retreat there. I figured maybe she was just finally chasing purpose outside the house. Hell, I even admired it for a minute. The kids weren't complaining. Jake was focused on football and getting his GPA up for college apps. Lauren was deep into theater and her AP classes. Tyler had baseball. Emma was just happy as long as someone read to her at night. From the outside, everything looked fine. That was the problem. It looked too fine. Melissa's phone buzzed constantly. She started keeping it face down, or just holding it when she moved around the house. When I asked what the constant texting was about, she smiled and said, "Planning committee. We're organizing a huge event for the school." Seemed plausible. She was always getting looped into stuff. But the lies don't show up with fireworks. They show up in skipped details. Different shampoo smells. A bra tag from a boutique she never mentioned. Unfamiliar coffee cups left in her car. One Friday afternoon, she left early for what she called a weekend retreat with the school planning board. I offered to drop her off at the hotel. She laughed. "No need, babe. It's just me and a few of the other moms. Nothing fancy." I didn't press. Just kissed her goodbye and watched her back out of the driveway in her SUV, new leather bag on the passenger seat, gym-toned arms resting on the wheel. She didn't even glance back. That night, I made grilled cheese for the kids and pretended everything was normal. I kept doing that for weeks. Pretending. Watching. Telling myself Melissa was just changing. Then one evening, Emma asked if Mommy was going to come read to her or if she was too busy again. That hit different. I said, "She'll be home tomorrow night, sweetie." Emma blinked. "No," she said Monday. I froze. I'd been told Saturday night. I tucked Emma in, kissed her forehead, and walked straight out to the garage. Didn't even know why at first. Just needed space. Just needed to breathe without choking on the idea that maybe Dad was right. Maybe I hadn't been paying attention. Maybe I'd been choosing not to. I sat in that garage, lights off, engine cold, listening to the soft hum of the house behind me. And I knew. I wasn't imagining anything. I just didn't want to know the truth. I didn't sleep much after that night in the garage. Kept running through timelines in my head, comparing what Melissa told me to what the kids said, what her schedule showed, what didn't add up. Still, I told myself I'd wait, give her the benefit of the doubt. Then came the Phoenix trip. She booked it a month in advance. Said it was a national seminar for high-level real estate agents. Lots of breakout sessions, panel speakers, all that corporate fluff. I said, "You've never gone to these before. What's different?" She smiled while folding silk dresses into her suitcase. "This one's exclusive. Big-time investors, agents from all over the country. Could be great for networking." I watched her lay out 4 different pairs of heels. One of them still had tags. "You expecting to hit a runway or close some deals?" She smirked. "Gotta look sharp. First impressions matter." Then she packed lingerie, lacy, strappy things I hadn't seen on her in years. That stopped me cold. "Didn't realize this was a romantic getaway," I said. She barely looked up. "You never know what kind of hotel robes they've got. I like feeling good. Don't start." That hit wrong. But I said nothing. Just watched her fold the last blouse and zip the suitcase. She flew out Thursday morning, kissed the kids, kissed me, and breezed out the door like a woman heading for a spa weekend. The house felt hollow the second she left. Saturday afternoon, I texted her, "How's the conference?" She replied 2 hours later, "Amazing. Long day. Just got back to my room. You'd love the keynotes. Short. Dry. No photos. No details. Not like her. Usually she couldn't shut up about hotel lobby designs or overpriced room service. Sunday night, she came home. She walked through that door like a goddamn movie star. Face lit up, glowing like she'd just climbed out of a spa tub. Her skin looked flawless. Her clothes? Still crisp. Not a wrinkle. Not a sign she'd been sitting in panels all day or hauling around paperwork. She tossed her suitcase into the foyer and came straight for me. "Miss me?" she said, grinning. Before I could answer, she kissed me full on the mouth. Deep. Intentional. Her hands grabbed the back of my neck like she hadn't touched me in months, which was true. That night, she didn't wait for me. She took the lead. Undressed fast. Didn't fumble. Didn't hesitate. She was in control. Focused. I didn't stop it. Couldn't. Part of me wanted to believe this was real. That she was just recharged from being around professionals. Maybe she'd seen women who were killing it and came back wanting to rebuild something between us. But when it was over, I saw her roll over and smile to herself. Not at me. To herself. Something about it made my stomach twist. Lying there in the dark, I asked, "What did you get out of the seminar?" She rolled to face me. Honestly, so much. The whole thing was inspiring. There was this amazing session on building your personal brand. One on deep networking. Just a lot of clarity. She was saying all the right words. Too right. Like she'd memorized them from a brochure. "What were the breakout sessions like?" I asked. She blinked for half a second too long. Well, they were mostly in small groups. There was this one about negotiation tactics that was super helpful. I let her talk, just nodded along. But the more she spoke, the less real it sounded. Later, when she was asleep, I slipped out of bed and sat in the hallway with the bathroom light barely on behind me. I didn't know what I was looking for. Maybe some trace of the old Melissa, some explanation that didn't come with a knife to the chest. All I knew was that glow she walked in with. It wasn't from business, and I wasn't imagining that either. I stayed up until sunrise that night. Every time I shut my eyes, I saw Melissa's suitcase, her smooth, rehearsed answers, the way she smiled to herself afterward like she'd won something. I couldn't pretend anymore. Something was off, and I wasn't going to sit around waiting to catch her mid-lie again. So I made a call. Eli Cross, a guy I heard about through my district manager in Indianapolis. Quiet, sharp ex-cop. Now worked private gigs full-time, mostly spouse investigations, background checks, surveillance. No drama, just results. He answered on the second ring. This is Eli. I cleared my throat. I got your number from Ryan Givens. I'm dealing with something, and I don't want to be wrong. He didn't hesitate. If you're calling me, you already know something's wrong. I met him the next morning in a diner just off the freeway. Eli looked like he hadn't smiled in a decade. Plain jeans, flannel, no small talk. I gave him Melissa's name, vehicle info, schedule, photos, even her Instagram. He just nodded through it, scribbling notes on a legal pad. I'll tail her on errands, track any out-of-town trips. Keep it quiet. I asked how long he'd need. Give me a week, he said. She's either clean or she's not. But I don't miss. 7 days later, he called. She's meeting 2 different men, Eli said flat. I froze. What? First one's Vince Holloway, local contractor. He's working on the elementary school expansion. They meet at his condo, usually Wednesday mornings, right after she drops the kids. I gripped the steering wheel. I was parked outside one of my stores, couldn't even remember what I was there for. And the other? Eli paused. Rick Palmer. My mouth went dry. No, you sure? Positive. Got video. They met at the Red Oak Suites, just off Route 9. Checked in Friday night. Left late Sunday. Same weekend she told you she was in Chicago. I didn't say anything. My body went cold. Like all the blood had just stepped out of me. You still there? Eli asked. Yeah, I choked out. Send everything. A few hours later, a zip file landed in my inbox. Photos. Timestamps. Video clips. I opened one, grainy security footage from a hotel lobby. Melissa, in jeans and a white sweater I'd seen 100 times, walking side by side with Rick Palmer. Smiling. Laughing. He carried the overnight bag. They disappeared into the elevator like it was nothing. Rick. My dad's fishing buddy. Family barbecue regular. The guy who brought bourbon to our Thanksgiving dinner every damn year. I slammed my laptop shut and sat in the dark office with my fists balled on the desk. Rick had been around since I was a kid. Trusted. Harmless. Always hanging around my dad's garage. Always with a joke or some story about the old days. Hell, he took Jake and Tyler out on the boat last summer. I let him. I trusted him. Now I had to look at that trust and know it was used against me. Melissa's Chicago leadership weekend was a lie. Every second of it. While I was packing school lunches and helping Emma with her spelling words, she was in a hotel room with him. Laughing. Touching. Whatever else. I called Eli again. Needed to hear it from a voice, not a file. You said 2 men. Vince and Rick. How long's this been going on? With Holloway? A few months. With Palmer? He paused. Longer. My guess? Years. Years. I hung up without another word. Couldn't breathe. I walked straight to the downstairs fridge and cracked open a beer. Didn't even taste it. Just stared out the window at the quiet yard where the kids used to run barefoot in the sprinklers. My marriage was burning behind my back, and I'd let it. But now I had proof. Now I knew. And I wasn't just going to sit on it. I stood there at the kitchen window, watching nothing, while that beer went warm in my hand. My mind wouldn't shut off. Just kept flashing between Melissa and Rick in that hotel elevator, and every damn birthday party, he'd stood in our backyard smiling like some harmless uncle. I felt like my brain was on fire. Rick had been part of our lives for decades. BBQs, Christmas mornings, weekends at the lake. My dad trusted him. I trusted him. And Melissa, she'd known exactly what she was doing every time she smiled at him across a folding table full of hot dogs and potato salad. Vince Holloway was newer. Eli said they mostly met at his place during Melissa's so-called volunteer hours. He was in and out, contractor on the elementary school expansion. He and Melissa started collaborating on school fundraising months ago. But Rick? Eli didn't even flinch when I asked how long. Years, he said. Long enough to make it routine. Routine. That word punched me in the gut. I needed more than photos. I needed the full truth, something measurable, something undeniable. So I ordered the kits. Discreet, non-labeled DNA tests from a lab in Virginia. Didn't even need spit, hair, toothbrushes, water bottles. I waited for a night when the kids were all in bed, and I started collecting. Emma's brush was easy, pink handle, glitter everywhere. Tyler left a Gatorade bottle in the fridge with his name on it. Lauren's toothbrush was on the far left, same place it always sat. Jake had a ball cap on his desk with a few hairs stuck inside. I labeled everything by number, wrote it all down on a notepad, then sent the package off with a prepaid label. 2-day air. I told myself maybe I was wrong. Maybe this wasn't what it looked like. Maybe I was just being paranoid. Then the results came. Tyler and Emma were mine. That was a breath I didn't even realize I'd been holding. Jake and Lauren weren't. I stared at the printout in my office with my heart hammering so loud I thought the kids might hear it. The lab confirmed non-paternity on both. In bold black letters. I looked at Jake's photo on the shelf. Varsity football jersey, big shoulders, same smirk I had at that age. But now I saw Rick's nose. Same bridge. Same wide nostrils. Lauren? I couldn't deny it. The eyes. That intense stare like she was reading your damn soul. I'd seen it before. In Vince Holloway. He showed up at our school board mixer last year and barely looked at me. Now I knew why. I didn't move for a full hour. Just sat there with the papers in my lap, breathing like someone had kicked me in the ribs. That night, Melissa waltzed through the front door around 9. Said the planning meeting ran late. Kissed me on the cheek and tossed her keys into the bowl. Her voice sounded fake. Plastic. Like something out of a commercial. Hey babe, what should we do for dinner tomorrow? Oh, and Emma wants to know if she can have a sleepover this weekend. I didn't answer. Just stared at her, silent. She paused. Everything okay? I nodded once. That's all I could manage. My throat was too tight to speak. She walked off toward the bedroom like nothing was wrong. I sat at the dining table alone, those results laid out in front of me. Every lie she ever told burning straight through the paper. I didn't sleep. Didn't even try. I listened to the soft rhythm of our house. The dryer rumbling, a faucet dripping, Emma giggling in her sleep down the hall. And I made a promise to myself, right there in that silence. This wasn't going to sit in the dark. She was going to face it. All of it. I waited until Emma's nightlight clicked off and Tyler's room went quiet. Jake and Lauren were upstairs in their rooms, doors closed. Melissa was in the kitchen pouring herself a glass of white wine like it was just another Thursday night. I walked in, grabbed the file off the counter, and said, "Sit down." She glanced at me, half smiling like I was playing a joke. "What's up now?" That smile dropped. She followed me into the living room and sat on the couch, legs crossed, still holding her wine. I sat across from her, opened the folder, and slid the DNA reports across the coffee table. She didn't touch them at first. Her eyes scanned the front page. Then the second. Her face turned white. "Danny, I can explain." "No," I cut in. "You're not talking yet." Her mouth opened, closed. She looked like she might pass out. "I know about Rick. I know about Vince. I know what you've been doing. The hotel, the condo, the fake retreats. All of it." She dropped the wine. Glass hit the rug, rolled, didn't break. Her hands went to her face. I swear to God I never meant for it to go this far. How far, Melissa? How far is too far? Years of lying? Passing off someone else's kids as mine? I didn't know how to stop it, she sobbed. It started out as, God, I don't even know. It just kept going. He was there when you weren't. Don't you even start that? I snapped. Don't you dare spin this like it was my fault. I was building a life for us. I was raising your kids. I was cleaning up messes I didn't even know were mine. She collapsed onto her knees, crying into her hands. Please, please don't ruin this. Don't destroy our family. Our family, I said, standing up. You destroyed it. You didn't just cheat. You let another man raise his son under my roof. And you looked me in the eye for 17 goddamn years like nothing was wrong. I didn't want to hurt you, she cried. You did. Over and over. You just thought I'd never find out. She didn't answer that. just curled into herself on the rug, sobbing so hard her shoulders shook. For once, I didn't flinch. I didn't reach out. Didn't soften. I'm done covering for you. You've got two choices. You tell the kids yourself, Jake and Lauren first, or I will. She looked up, makeup streaked across her cheeks. Danny, please, I can't. They'll hate me. They should, but you owe them the truth. She just sat there, silent. You're not going to do it, are you? I asked. Her silence was answer enough. Fine, I said. I will. She looked up again, panic in her voice. Wait. Just wait. Let me figure out how to say it. No more waiting. I picked up the folder, turned my back, and walked upstairs. Time to end this lie. I didn't sleep that night. Just sat at the kitchen table staring at the folder. At the damage. Around 7 a.m., I grabbed my keys and left the house before anyone was up. I met Rick Palmer at the old diner on Maple, the one with burnt coffee and sticky menus. He was already in a booth, sipping his usual black coffee like this was just another morning. He looked up, smiled like an idiot. Hey, Danny. Heard you've been busy. Your store's doing good? I dropped the folder on the table and slid into the booth across from him. He opened it, flipped the first photo, and froze. Melissa. Him. That hotel. I waited. Rick shut the folder, set it down gently. His fingers twitched. That was a mistake, he said quiet. Sure was, I said. And it's not just a mistake. It's betrayal. You were in my house, Rick. You were around my kids. He looked down, didn't argue. It wasn't supposed to last. We said we'd stop. She said it was over. But it wasn't, I snapped. It went on for years. Don't sit here acting like this was one slip-up. You stole from me, and you kept showing up with a smile on your face. He pushed the coffee away. I never wanted to hurt you. I leaned forward. You've got 48 hours to tell my dad. Or I will. Rick looked like I'd smacked him. Danny, come on. Don't call me that. I snapped. You got 2 days. Don't wait. I stood up and walked out before he could say another word. That afternoon, I drove straight to Lauren's school. Called ahead, said it was urgent. They gave me 10 minutes with Vince Holloway in one of the admin offices. He walked in all confidence, rolled up sleeves, clipboard in hand, ready to charm. Then he saw my face. I dropped the same folder on the desk between us. He opened it. His hand started to shake halfway through the paternity results. This isn't, he stopped. Cleared his throat. Is this real? You tell me. He looked like the air left his lungs. Jesus Christ. I didn't let him recover. You've been sleeping with a married woman. A parent. You work on school property. You had a child with my wife and pretended like you were just part of the team. He stood up. Please, don't go public. I didn't know. Not at first. I thought. I don't care what you thought. I cut in. You can either resign quietly, now, or I file a misconduct complaint with the district. And I guarantee that story spreads. He sat back down. Silent. Your call, I said. He didn't even argue. Just nodded once. I'll resign. Good. That night, I sat all 4 kids down in the living room. Melissa hovered by the hallway, pale and useless. Tyler and Emma were curled up on one side of the couch, confused but quiet. Jake had his arms crossed, legs bouncing. Lauren stared at the floor, her face tight. I need you to listen, I said. This is going to hurt. Emma leaned into Tyler. Lauren looked up first. Is it, Mom? I nodded. Yes. And it's serious. You're old enough now. You deserve to know. Jake spoke up. What the hell's going on? I looked him straight in the eyes. I found out your mom's been lying for a long time. She had affairs. 2. One of them with someone you know. Silence. Lauren whispered. Who? Rick Palmer, I said. Jake jumped off the couch. Are you kidding me? Rick. And Vince Holloway, I added, looking at Lauren. Her lips parted like she wanted to say something, but nothing came out. Dad. Jake looked like he couldn't breathe. You're saying, Rick, he's my... I nodded. And Lauren. Vince is yours. Lauren broke. Full sobs. She buried her face in her hands and folded into the armrest like she wanted to disappear. Tyler looked at Melissa. Mom? Is it true? She couldn't answer. Didn't even try. Just cried in the doorway. Emma sat frozen, eyes wide. Jake grabbed his jacket and stormed out the front door. Melissa started to follow him. Don't, I said. She stopped cold. I sat back down between Tyler and Emma. Looked at all of them, what was left of what we built. I raised you. That's what makes me your dad, I said. And no one, not Melissa, not Rick, not Vince, could take that away. The morning after I told the kids, I made one call. Denise McAllister, my lawyer for years, handled my business contracts, employee disputes, zoning fights. She didn't blink twice when I said, I'm divorcing Melissa, and I'm bringing receipts. We met at her office by noon. I laid out the folder, photos, DNA results, a list of dates, and hotel stays. She didn't even look shocked. She flipped through the file, calm as a surgeon. Jesus, she muttered. She didn't just cheat. She built a second life. Can we win this? I asked. Denise looked up, cold, confident. We're going to own this divorce. Melissa's side came at us fast. Some clean-cut guy in a blue suit who tried to sound reasonable. First thing out of his mouth. Joint custody, half of the business, and an amicable settlement to preserve dignity. Denise laughed in his face. Your client committed paternity fraud, adultery with 2 men, and lied to this man and his children for nearly 2 decades. Dignity walked out the door a long time ago. Melissa sat beside him, quiet, eyes red. No makeup. I almost didn't recognize her. She tried to speak once. Danny, please. Denise held up a hand. Don't say a word. We pushed hard. Full custody of Tyler and Emma. They were underage, and I wasn't letting them bounce between homes like ping pong balls. Jake and Lauren were old enough to choose. I didn't force them. I just asked. Jake said, I'm not leaving. Lauren whispered, I can't even look at her. That was that. The court reviewed everything. DNA tests. Timeline. Eli's report. It wasn't even close. The judge didn't lecture or drag it out. Just gave us the decision straight. I got full custody of the younger kids. Melissa kept the house, mainly because I didn't want it anymore, and got a modest settlement. No stake in the business. No alimony. Her lawyer didn't even fight it by the end. He knew. Back home, I packed my things with Tyler and Emma helping out. Jake showed up with his truck and loaded boxes like he was moving his own place. Melissa tried to say goodbye while we were in the driveway. Emma turned her face away. Tyler didn't even speak. Jake walked right past her. I stayed calm, detached, professional even. But when she looked at me one last time, like maybe there was still something to salvage, I shut it down. You had a good thing, I said. And you blew it up. Her reputation tanked fast. The school committees dropped her. Neighborhood group chats turned cold. Mom stopped texting. Vince's resignation went public. He left for personal reasons. But people talk. Rick? I didn't even need to do anything. Word got to my dad. And when it did, I swear I heard the yelling 2 blocks away. But that wasn't my problem anymore. I was done managing lies. Done cleaning up her mess. I had a new job now. Keep the kids steady. And rebuild the damn house she set on fire. I found a rental on the west side. 3 bedrooms. Old hardwood floors. Nothing fancy, but solid. Quiet neighborhood. Backyard big enough for a grill and a dog. We moved in the first weekend of October. Leaves were falling. Air smelled like change. Tyler and Emma took it better than I expected. We built new routines. Pizza Fridays, movie nights, backyard catch. The noise was gone. The tension. The pretending. Now it was just us, and it felt honest. Jake stepped up big. He was barely home that fall, working shifts at my store, cranking out essays for his college apps, fixing up the truck he'd bought with his own money. When he got his acceptance letter from Ohio State's business school, I was proud, but not surprised. You think I got what it takes? He asked one night. I clapped him on the shoulder. You've had it all along. You just needed a clean runway. Lauren stayed quieter for a while. She didn't talk much those first few months. But I'd see her up late, typing like she was racing a clock. One day, she showed me a blog she'd started, Truth Over Comfort. Essays about betrayal, trust, emotional survival. No names, but it was all there. You okay putting this out there? I asked. She looked me dead in the eyes. Somebody has to. Yeah, she's mine. Work exploded, too. Maybe I needed the distraction. I opened 2 new stores, one in Kentucky, one in Indiana. Promoted my longtime assistant manager, Brant, to COO. Good guy. Loyal. He'd seen me through plenty, and now he was helping run the show while I focused on the bigger picture. And somewhere in the middle of all that, I met Erica. It wasn't some rom-com setup. She brought her nephew in to get his car fixed, and we struck up a conversation. She was a pediatric nurse, divorced, 2 grown kids, no time for BS. We had coffee, then dinner, then a quiet Sunday walking around the flea market. I told her everything. Not just the headlines, the ugly parts, the DNA tests, The hotel footage. The nights I sat in the dark wondering if I'd been a fool my whole damn life. She didn't flinch. Didn't pity me either. Just listened, then said, "You did right by your kids. That's the part that matters." We didn't rush anything. I introduced her to the kids slowly. Emma took to her right away. Tyler was more reserved, but warmed up after she showed up to his baseball game and brought snacks for the whole team. Jake grilled her like a detective. Lauren gave her one of those long, unreadable stares, and then invited her to lunch the next week. My dad met her last Christmas, pulled me aside afterward, looked me straight in the eye. "You raise good kids, Danny," he said, "and you found someone who sees that." As for Melissa, she drifted, sold the house, moved to Texas a few months after the divorce finalized, sent birthday cards, sometimes, called on holidays if she remembered. The kids didn't ask much, didn't seem to miss her. Whatever bond used to exist between them and their mother, it frayed, then snapped. And she didn't try to fix it. I stopped chasing explanations. She made her choices. We made ours. And we were doing just fine. 5 years later, I stood in the sun, watching Jake walk across that graduation stage in a black cap and gown, shaking hands like he'd just signed $1 million deal. The crowd clapped, the dean smiled, and then Jake stepped up to the mic. His speech was about resilience. Not business, not success, resilience. "The world doesn't care if you're broken," he said, "but the people who love you will help you rebuild." I felt Erica squeeze my hand. I didn't look at her. I just watched my son, standing tall, steady, and damn proud. Lauren sat beside me, already halfway packed for journalism school in Chicago. She'd published 3 essays in small mags by then, all focused on betrayal, truth, and what comes after. "I want to help people who've been lied to," she told me once, "because no one ever thinks it'll happen to them until it does." Tyler made varsity his sophomore year, played shortstop like a machine. His coach called him the backbone of the team. That kid had my fire and none of my blind spots. Emma, she turned into a little business shark, started walking neighborhood dogs and turned it into a legit service. Had her own flyer, website, and rates by the time she was 12. Even made me fill out a client form before she agreed to add my buddy's golden retriever. Melissa didn't come to the graduation. She was married again. Some guy in Texas who ran a landscaping company. From what I heard, they had a quiet life. She sent Jake a card and a check. He cashed the check, tossed the card in the trash. Rick died last winter. Stroke. Quiet. Jake went to the funeral. I didn't ask why, and he didn't offer. I didn't go. Couldn't. Wouldn't. Vince runs a hardware store downstate now. Never called. Never emailed. Never showed his face again. Good. Erica and I got married last year in a small backyard ceremony. Just family. No white dress, no flowers flown in. Just real people, real vows, and grilled ribs after. The kids love her. Not because she replaced anyone. She didn't try. She just showed up. Consistent. Gentle. Honest. Brought peace where there used to be wreckage. Sometimes I look around at this life, this house, this crew of mine, and realize I'm happier now than I ever was pretending things were fine. This life isn't perfect, but it's real, and it's mine.